What I'm about to tell you is not about looking younger in the mirror. It's about whether you still feel like yourself at 70, 75, even 85. Because the most painful form of aging isn't wrinkles. It's losing strength, losing confidence, losing your balance, losing your memory, and then one day realizing you've started organizing your life around what you can no longer do. I'm Dr. Michael Joel, and if I could go back and hand every patient over 60 one single anti-aging roadmap, this would be it. And the advice I'm saving for number one is the one I wish more people understood before their bodies started sending warning signs they thought were just aging. Before we begin, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and join our community for simple, life-changing health guidance. Because today we are not chasing fads, miracle pills, or expensive nonsense. We're talking about what actually helps people in America stay stronger, sharper, steadier, and more independent as the years go by. And here's the part that might surprise you. Most accelerated aging doesn't happen all at once. It happens quietly. A little less sleep, a little less movement, a little more isolation, a little more weakness. Then one day, the body you lived in for decades feels unfamiliar. So let me walk you through the best anti-aging advice I wish more people knew sooner. Let me start with Barbara from Columbus, Ohio, because her story explains advice number 11. Barbara was 72, sharp as a tack, deeply organized, the kind of woman who paid every bill on time and remembered everybody's birthday. But over 1 year, she started saying something I hear all the time. Doctor, I just feel older all of a sudden. Not sick, just older. More tired in the afternoon, foggy in the morning, short-tempered for no reason. She thought maybe that was just what happened after 70. It wasn't. What had changed was her sleep. She was staying up later with the television on, dozing off in the recliner, waking up 3 times a night, then dragging herself through the next day. And that pattern was aging her faster than she realized. Advice number 11 is this: protect your sleep like it protects your life, because it does. If you're over 60 and sleeping poorly, you are not just tired. You are asking your body to heal with one hand tied behind its back. Sleep is when your brain clears waste, when your mood resets, when your body restores energy, and when memory gets organized. When sleep becomes short, broken, or shallow, everything starts feeling harder. Balance gets worse. Cravings get worse. Blood pressure gets harder to control. Patience disappears. Barbara didn't need a miracle. She needed a routine. Same bedtime, same wake time, less late caffeine, less evening television in bed. And within weeks, she told me, I don't feel younger exactly, but I feel like myself again. But sleep is only part of the picture. Advice number 10 is something seniors ignore because it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels inconvenient. And that's exactly why it matters. Let me tell you about Frank in Mesa, Arizona. Frank was 76, retired Air Force, disciplined, proud, and stubborn in that very American way I've seen 1,000 times. His daughter kept telling him he was missing words during conversation. He said, everybody mumbles now. His wife said the television was too loud. He said the speakers were bad. What was really happening was that Frank's hearing was slipping, and because he was hearing less, he was withdrawing more. He stopped going to breakfast with old friends. He quit volunteering at church, and his world got quieter, smaller, and mentally duller. Advice number 10, do not ignore your hearing. People think hearing loss is just an ear problem. It isn't. It changes how hard your brain has to work just to follow ordinary life. When your brain spends all day trying to decode muffled sound, it has less energy for memory, attention, and conversation. Worse, many people start pulling back socially because they're embarrassed to keep saying, what? And that isolation creates another layer of aging on top of the first one. Frank finally got his hearing checked, got properly fitted devices, and something beautiful happened. He didn't just hear better. He laughed more. He rejoined life. His wife said, I got my husband back. And that sentence has stayed with me for years. Now that leads directly to advice number 9, because if hearing loss can shrink your world, loneliness can age you from the inside out. Let me tell you about Linda from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She lost her husband after 44 years of marriage. And what people around her missed was that grief didn't just make her sad. It changed her routine, her appetite, her movement, and her energy. She stopped attending her senior center exercise class. She stopped inviting neighbors in for coffee. She started eating crackers for dinner because cooking for one felt pointless. 6 months later, she looked older, moved slower, and felt weaker. Everyone said grief had taken a toll. That's true. But what really deepened the damage was disconnection. Advice number 9 is simple but not easy. Stay connected on purpose. You cannot wait for social life to happen automatically after 60. You have to schedule it the same way you schedule appointments. Call your sister in Dallas every Tuesday. Go to the same coffee group every Thursday. Join the walking group at the community center. Volunteer at the library. Invite the grandkids over for pancakes on Sunday. Human connection is not a luxury for older adults. It is maintenance for the brain, the heart, and the spirit. Linda slowly rebuilt her week. One church lunch, one neighbor visit, one quilting circle, then more. And as her calendar filled back up, her face, posture, and voice changed with it. But social connection works best when your body can still carry you into the world. That brings me to advice number 8, and this one is shockingly underestimated. Walk, not shuffle, not wander. Walk with intention. Let me tell you about Ronald from Des Moines, Iowa. Ronald told me he was active because he was up and around all day. But when I asked him to describe it, he meant moving from the kitchen to the garage, from the recliner to the mailbox, from the driveway to the trash bin. That is movement, yes. But it is not the kind of movement that tells the heart, lungs, blood vessels, and muscles to stay young. Ronald wasn't training his body to remain capable. He was just surviving his routine in little pieces. Advice number 8 is to become serious about daily walking, especially brisk walking. You do not need perfection. You do not need fancy shoes and a smartwatch that costs as much as a utility bill. You need consistency, a real walk. A walk that slightly deepens your breathing, swings your arms, and reminds your legs they still have a job to do. Walking helps blood sugar, blood pressure, mood, endurance, sleep, digestion, and even mental clarity. Ronald started with 10 minutes after breakfast and 10 after dinner. Then he built up. 3 months later, he told me stairs didn't scare him anymore. 6 months later, he was taking his grandson to a minor league game without needing to sit every 15 minutes. And that is what anti-aging really looks like. Now here's the trap. Many people start walking, which is excellent, but they ignore advice number 7. And this mistake is one of the biggest reasons people look fine until the day they fall. I want you to meet Sheila from Nashville, Tennessee. Sheila was 69 and healthy by every ordinary measure. Normal weight, decent blood pressure, active in her garden, but then she tripped reaching for a box in the garage and fractured her wrist. Not long after that, she stumbled on a curb outside a pharmacy. Suddenly she didn't trust herself. She started moving slower, going out less, and holding furniture when she walked through the house. Her problem wasn't laziness. It wasn't age alone. It was balance. And balance only stays if you challenge it. Advice number 7 is to train balance before life tests it for you. Balance is not something you either have or don't have. It's a skill. And like every skill, it fades when neglected. If you never challenge your legs, feet, inner ears, eyes, and core to work together, they stop communicating as sharply as they once did. That's why simple things matter so much. Heel to toe walking near a counter, standing on one leg while lightly supported, sit to stands from a chair, gentle Tai Chi, and strength work for the hips and legs. Sheila began doing 10 minutes a day, plus guided balance classes twice a week at her local YMCA. Months later, she said something powerful. I'm not less old. I'm less afraid. And that changed everything. Advice number 6 is one people dismiss because they think it sounds cosmetic. It isn't. Protect your skin from the sun. Let me tell you about Warren from Sarasota, Florida. Warren loved golf, hated sunscreen, and wore his sun exposure like a badge of honor. Doctor, I earned these spots, he told me, pointing to the sides of his face and his forearms. But over time, those rough patches multiplied. His skin thinned. Wounds took longer to heal. A suspicious lesion had to be removed. He started understanding something too late. Sun damage is not just about appearance. It is accumulated injury. The face, scalp, ears, neck, and hands keep the receipts. And the body does not forget decades of ultraviolet damage just because it happens slowly. Advice number 6, stop treating sun protection like vanity. Daily protection is one of the simplest anti-aging habits in America and one of the most ignored. A hat on your morning walk in Phoenix, shade at your grandson's baseball game in Missouri, long sleeves when you're fishing in Alabama, sunscreen on the face, ears, scalp line, neck, and hands before driving across town or sitting on the porch. Sun damage speeds wrinkles, spots, texture changes, and more serious skin problems. But more than that, it creates a look of wear that many people mistake for unavoidable aging. Warren finally made sunscreen part of his morning routine, the same way he brushed his teeth. And once he did, his dermatologist visits became less frightening and far more boring, which is exactly what you want. Now let's talk about advice number 5, because this is where anti-aging gets very unglamorous and very real. Eat in a way that helps you stay strong, not just full. I met Donna from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who told me she didn't eat much anymore. Toast in the morning, soup at lunch, maybe some mashed potatoes or applesauce at night. I'm not that hungry these days, she said, and that sentence sounds harmless until you realize what it often means. Less protein, less fiber, less color, less fuel, less muscle, less reserve. Donna wasn't overeating her way into trouble. She was undernourishing her way into frailty. And that kind of aging can sneak up on very decent people who think they're eating light. Advice number 5 is to feed your muscles and your brain on purpose. As we get older, the body becomes less forgiving about poor nutrition. You cannot live on coffee, crackers, and luck. Most seniors do better when meals regularly include protein and plants. Eggs, yogurt, fish, chicken, beans, cottage cheese, nuts, berries, greens, oats, vegetables, and whole grains. That does not mean you need to become trendy or obsessive. It means every meal should answer a question. Is this helping me stay steady, heal well, think clearly, and keep muscle? Donna began adding protein at breakfast, real meals at lunch, and better snacks in the afternoon. Within weeks, she felt less shaky. Within months, she had more strength getting out of a chair than she'd had in years. But food is not just about what you add. Sometimes it's about what you stop. Advice number 4 is one many viewers do not want to hear because it sounds too familiar, too old-fashioned, too obvious. But obvious does not mean optional. Stop poisoning the body in small daily doses. Let me tell you about Gary from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Gary said he didn't smoke much anymore, just a few cigarettes on the porch, and he only drank a couple every evening to relax. Nothing wild, nothing dramatic. Yet he slept badly, snored heavily, felt puffy in the morning, coughed more than he admitted, and seemed older every month. We keep waiting for bad habits to look dramatic, but often they just look like slower healing, less stamina, and poorer mornings. And that is damage too. Advice number 4, if you smoke, quit. If you drink, be honest. I am not here to scold you. I'm here to tell you that aging accelerates when the body is asked to recover from the same insult over and over again. Tobacco damages blood vessels, lungs, skin, healing, and resilience. Alcohol, even when it seems modest, can worsen sleep, balance, mood, medications, memory, blood pressure, and falls. Gary didn't transform overnight. He started by telling the truth about the pattern, then cut back step by step with help. Months later, his face looked less swollen, his walking improved, and his wife said the house felt calmer. And that is something people forget. Healthy aging changes the whole family atmosphere, not just the lab numbers. Now we're getting to advice number 3, and this one might be the most medically important before we reach number 1. Control what quietly damages your brain and blood vessels. I'm talking about blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, sleep apnea, and the chronic inflammation that piles up when these go ignored. Let me tell you about Teresa from Charlotte, North Carolina. Teresa felt fine. That was the problem. No pain, no dramatic symptoms, nothing urgent enough to make her worried. But her blood pressure had been creeping up for years, and because she felt okay, she treated it like background noise. Then her daughter noticed Teresa losing words in conversation, forgetting appointments, and becoming mentally slower by evening. It wasn't dementia, not yet, but her brain was not being protected the way it should have been. Advice number 3 is this: do not confuse feeling normal with being safe. Some of the biggest threats to aging well are silent. High blood pressure can damage the brain, heart, kidneys, and blood vessels long before you feel anything. Poorly controlled diabetes can drain energy, hurt nerves, and cloud thinking. Untreated sleep apnea can leave you exhausted and strain your cardiovascular system night after night. Teresa finally took her numbers seriously. She tracked her blood pressure correctly, adjusted treatment with her doctor, got evaluated for sleep problems, and improved her walking and food habits. Slowly, the fog lifted. Her daughter told me, "She's more like mom again." And if there is a sentence that sums up anti-aging medicine, that might be it. Advice number 2 is where people usually expect me to say crossword puzzles or memory games. And yes, mental challenge matters, but that's not the full truth. The deeper advice is this: stay useful, stay engaged. Keep learning, yes, but also keep participating. Let me tell you about Harold from St. Louis, Missouri. Harold retired at 67 and treated retirement like a permanent Sunday afternoon. At first, it felt earned. He slept in, watched cable news, tinkered in the garage, and told everyone he was finally relaxing. But within 2 years, his posture changed, his speech slowed, his motivation disappeared, and his wife said he seemed to be fading in plain sight. He didn't need more rest. He needed a reason to get up. And purpose is one of the most underrated anti-aging therapies we have. Advice number 2, give the brain a job and the heart a reason. Read, yes. Learn, yes. But also mentor somebody. Volunteer. Join the board at church. Help with the local food pantry. Teach your grandson how to fix a lawnmower. Start the small woodworking project you've been postponing since 1998. When older adults stay mentally and socially engaged, they often move more, speak more, laugh more, and care more about maintaining their routines. Harold started tutoring high school students in math twice a week at a community center, and the change was almost unbelievable. He bought new shirts. He stood straighter. He remembered details again. His wife cried in my office. And she said, "It's like someone turned the lights back on. Now we've arrived at advice number one, the one I believe matters more than almost any anti-aging pill, cream, gadget, or social media trick being sold to Americans right now. If I could go back and tell every person at 55, 60, or 65 one thing, it would be this: build and protect your muscle. Not for vanity, not for beach photos, for survival, for independence, for confidence, for the right to keep living life on your own terms. Let me tell you about Carol from Omaha, Nebraska. Carol looked fine to everyone around her, but when I asked her to stand from a chair without using her hands, she struggled. When I asked about stairs, she hesitated. When I asked about carrying groceries, she changed the subject. And that's when I knew aging was already taking more from her than anyone realized. Muscle is not just about strength. It is your reserve. It is what helps you stand up from the toilet when your knees hurt. It is what keeps you from falling when the dog pulls the leash. It is what helps you carry laundry, open heavy doors, recover from illness, and get off the floor if you trip. When muscle fades, everything becomes harder at once. Walking slows, balance worsens, confidence drops, social life shrinks, recovery takes longer. And then people say, I got old suddenly. No. The muscle left gradually, and with it went the body's safety margin. Carol started simple resistance training twice a week, plus more protein and regular walks. And 6 months later, she could rise from a chair with control and walk through her day like she trusted herself again. This is the anti-aging truth most people miss. Muscle is your biological savings account. The younger you stop lifting it, using it, and feeding it, the faster withdrawals begin. But here's the encouraging part, and I need you to hear this clearly. The body can still respond in your 60s, 70s, and even 80s. I have seen men in Kentucky and women in California get dramatically stronger with basic resistance work using bands, light dumbbells, body weight, and chairs. The body is often waiting for a signal. The signal is challenge. Safe challenge, repeated challenge, progressive challenge, not punishment, not ego, just a clear instruction that says, we still need this strength. And the body often answers more beautifully than people expect. So what does that actually look like if you're sitting at home thinking, Doctor, that sounds great, but where do I begin? You begin smaller than your pride wants and more consistently than your motivation wants. Sit to stands from a sturdy chair, wall push-ups, step-ups onto a low step, resistance band rows, gentle squats while holding the kitchen counter, calf raises while waiting for the microwave, 2 or 3 days a week, rest in between, good form, no heroics. If you have medical issues, arthritis, heart trouble, severe balance problems, or recent surgery, get guidance first. But please do not make the mistake of thinking weakness protects you from exercise. Weakness is exactly why you need it. And done wisely, strength work is one of the safest gifts you can give an aging body. Now let me pull all of this together, because information is useless unless it becomes a routine. If you want the best anti-aging advice I wish more people knew, here's the real formula. Sleep on schedule. Walk daily. Train balance. Build muscle. Eat enough protein and real food. Protect hearing. Guard your blood pressure. Limit alcohol. Do not smoke. Protect your skin from sun. Keep friends, purpose, and responsibility in your week. That's it. Not glamorous, not mysterious, but incredibly powerful. People keep searching for one secret because secrets are exciting. But the body doesn't become more youthful through excitement. It becomes more capable through repetition, through boring wins, through Tuesday morning walks, Thursday strength work, and Sunday family lunches. And that is how health span is built in real American life. Let me tell you about one more patient because his story ties this all together better than any lecture I could give. His name was Robert from Boise, Idaho. And when he first came to me at 74, he said, I don't want to live forever. I just don't want the last years to be miserable. That sentence may be the most honest thing I hear from older adults. Robert wasn't chasing youth. He wanted to keep driving, grilling in the backyard, walking into a football game, and getting down on the floor with his great-granddaughter without wondering how he'd get back up. So we didn't build a perfect plan. We built a real one. Better sleep, more walking, resistance bands, fewer drinks, better meals, hearing evaluation. And little by little, the man came back. A year later, Robert walked into my office looking different, but not in the way magazines talk about anti-aging. He looked settled, steady, capable. His shoulders were back. His handshake was firmer. His blood pressure was better. His mood was better. And the thing that moved me most was what he said on the way out. He smiled and told me, I still have plans. That's what good anti-aging advice gives you. Not a younger birth certificate. Not a fake promise. Plans. A future you still expect to participate in. That is the victory. And the beautiful part is that many of these changes start working long before the mirror shows anything. They show up first in energy, confidence, steadiness, and the return of possibility. So if you remember nothing else from this video, remember this. Aging well is not about trying to freeze time. It is about refusing to surrender function one avoidable loss at a time. Do not wait for a fall to train balance. Do not wait for weakness to care about muscle. Do not wait for isolation to value people. Do not wait for memory slips to take blood pressure seriously. Do not wait for exhaustion to respect sleep. The best anti-aging advice I wish more people knew is that the future is usually shaped by habits that seem too small to matter today. But they matter. Oh, they matter. Start with one change this week, then protect it until it becomes part of you. And your body will notice before anyone else does. If this video helped you, subscribe to the channel and share it with somebody you love, especially a parent, spouse, brother, sister, or friend over 60. Because too many good people in this country are told aging means inevitable decline, when what they really need is better guidance earlier. You do not need to do everything tonight. You just need to stop drifting. Pick one habit, improve it, then add another, and another. That is how people in their 70s begin to feel stronger. That is how people in their 80s stay independent longer. And that is how you give yourself the best chance to keep living a life that still feels like yours. Take good care of yourself, keep going, and I'll see you in the next video.